So who we have next is Don Marshall, our chair of our Solid Waste Resource Management Advisory Committee. And he has provided on table a copy of his executive summary for council's information.
Mr. Mayor and councillors, it's a pleasure for me to appear before you again today to give you a brief update of progress of our committee. A number of things have been happening. Flyers have been flying around. There's a green one that people get when they get their decals. I think this morning there's a flyer that's being distributed by Bowen Waste Services as they pick up garbage. So this is going to be a very direct connection with people about July the 4th. You will have seen various dates, incidentally. July 1st, July 3rd, July 4th. But actually, the first food pickup will happen on the 4th, which is a Wednesday. The reason for that is that the first Monday in July is a holiday, so the pickup schedule gets shifted a day, and Dave McIntosh has decided that he will pick up the first food scraps on Wednesday afternoon, so that's the 4th. You will have noticed, I hope, the banner that's hanging over the road on the way up from the Miller Road intersection. There's a PowerPoint presentation currently running in the foyer here at the Municipal Hall. And that runs daily. It's there particularly for the people who come in to pay their taxes and get their decals. And some of the committee will be presenting to various groups. We're available to do that. Sorry, I'm missing a point here. Some of the committee will be present on the last 2 days of tax payment when we're told by staff that the place gets inundated with people and they need relief from having to answer questions. And so our committee will do that for them. Our websites are getting some action. Questions are being asked and answered at foodrecycling@bimbc.ca. And there's still the frequently asked questions that are available at bimrecycles.ca. We're gradually improving that site. And the municipal site has a number of notices about dates and health appointments. And I've mentioned about the food scraps pickup already. We expect we hope it's going to be smooth, but as with anything new, we expect some bumps. And probably the biggest thing that we're hearing so far is what kind of a container should I use? And we don't have specific suggestions. We're working on a site that will be added. Actually, it's been added to the frequently asked questions, and another handout that we're going to have shortly. But we expect that Bowen Islanders are resourceful and they'll figure out how to do it. And we're here to be helpful to that transition. Our first site visit happened just a couple of weeks ago when we went to Mission and met with Dr. John Paul, a local expert on composting, etc. It was a very useful meeting with him and visit to his site in Mission. And the second site is happening this Thursday, Friday, when two of our committee, Peter Taggart and Di Roberts, along with Will Hilson, municipal engineer, are going to see a site in Saanich and one in Nanaimo. Both have quite different systems, and are attending a seminar in Duncan that will bring together a number of authorities on the whole subject of composting and waste management. Dr. Paul Arnold, who is from Nova Scotia, was here on a visit to his family in the North Shore and very kindly came and visited with us again. He's the author of a report that is available that was funded by individuals, Nick Nack Nook, and one of our contractors on the island. And that's a very, very useful, valuable report to us. These two men that we've already had a look at are potential candidates in our mind for doing the initial look-see of what kind of a system should we have. And it's great that we've been able to be in touch with them in this way. Have great respect for both of them. We've been looking at the solid waste collection contract in some depth. We've had a number of closed meetings about that, and we'll have a recommendation for your next closed council meeting. And I hope you don't call on me to do that today. I know if they have the closed meeting, that's not on the table. Thank you. That recommendation is actually in our May 24 closed meeting minutes. Then because we're promoting actively or encouraging people to do home composting, because this is the best, most efficient, effective way to get rid of our food scraps, we are embarking on several ways of advertising and promoting this. And at our last meeting, we began looking at organics processing sites, including the lands near the bird site and the municipal works yard, and we will have some further comments for council, recommendations for council at a closed meeting. That's the sum total of my comments, Mr. Mayor, and I'm available for questions.
Quick question. Dr. Paul Arnold's report, do you know the name of that and where is that available? Like, is that...
I can get a copy for
Yeah,
you.
it's in our, we have a Dropbox system for the committee, and it's in it. And you can't get it.
Under solid waste.
Huh?
Under solid waste.
Yeah, it's all.
I will get a copy of his report circulated to all the council.
There are, if you're interested in reading things like that, there's a couple of other reports available. One that I was reminded about it from Rondi Dyke, who did a report on the concept of a transfer station, which was partly acted on by the municipality, and that was about 8 years ago that we did that. So, happy to give this to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Councilor Morris has a question.
Don, what's the difference between an organics processing site? I mean, is that just where you take it and shovel it off to somewhere? I mean, or because you're talking this way on the basis that it's going to be on muni property. I mean, there are contractors out there that are looking at creating composting sites, so would that not?
We have made pointed no directions on where, if we get to a place of having a composting facility, and we certainly hope we can do that, we haven't made any directions specifically where it would be, but the thinking is people, I mean, this is the hub of the island. Everybody comes here or comes through here, and to have that facility, particularly if it was going to be the transfer type station drop-off, that would be a good site for it. And the bird site and the municipal yard site are all part of that, plus the site one which stretches to the south from the yard.
So it's not necessarily the place to actually treat it or whatever, it might just be a drop-off. You'd have to make a decision.
No, could be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and one other point, the garbage cans that West Vancouver has,
Yes.
the little green ones,
Yes.
they're available at Rona and North Van and they're $30.
No, they're cheaper now.
I'm sure they were 30 when I was there the other day. They're not. They're only
At
the
Rona,
Rona and North Van, the one down by Park and
They're only that big?
Yeah.
they're,
Oh, okay, well then they're smaller than the ones that West Van are using, ones that are this high.
Oh, I saw West Van the other day and it doesn't.
Oh, okay, well then I guess they have various ones, okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so we have our first delegation next, and that's Tim Pardee and Bill Newport from the Bowen Island Fish and Wildlife.
Good morning, Mayor, Council, staff, members of the public. We thought we would give an update on the Fish and Wildlife Club activities. and kind of a brief history of where we came from and where we're headed. Back in the 50s, there was a club on the Bowen Island, the Bowen Island Rod and Gun Club. The main activities in the 50s were fishing derby and the odd turkey shoot. And what happened in the 60s was there was a lot of hunters that came over from the mainland and unfortunately got themselves into trouble and started shooting up the island. The club then decided to be able to lobby the appropriate governments and was incorporated as a society in 1967, the Bowen Island Rod and Gun Club. And they were successful, and there were laws that were changed on Bowen Island hunting. Unfortunately, over the years, the population of Bowen got too great. Hunting, or at least shooting rifles, was stopped, and the fishing derby stopped because there was no fish. The Bowen Island Rod and Gun Club changed. They got into salmon enhancement, and they built a hatchery right by what is now the works yard. It was a small building, and in there they did just eggs. They didn't keep, after the eggs hatched, they didn't keep them in the troughs. And they changed again in 1982. They got grants, and they built the Terminal Creek hatchery, the first phase of it. And that was a great success. So the club was very healthy and went through its salmon enhancement projects, all financed by Department of Fisheries and Oceans. The hatchery was built by on-island individuals. It was donations of the island contractors and whatever. It went along very well. So we carry on, and about 8 years ago, the Bowen Island Fish and they changed their name to the Bowen Island Fish and Wildlife Club in around 1980. We found that we were doing well in salmon enhancement, but the people on Bowen, we had wrecked the majority of our fish-bearing streams. So we got into the Pacific Streamkeepers Federation, and through grants over the last years, we've been rebuilding the Bowen streams that we had destroyed in the past, and that's gone along very well. So the club changed again, and again it's healthy. And in fact, just as a sideline, the last Friday, one of the vice presidents from the Pacific Salmon Foundation and his video crew were here on the island, and myself and Tim and our hatchery manager were around the island at Davies Creek, the lagoon, and the salmon climbing pools at Explosives Creek. And they were doing a video and an interview with us, and this is the video that they'll be using for showing their corporate sponsors on just where their money goes. So it was quite an honor, actually, to have that done for our club and on Bowen. So we were growing again, we're changing. Then what happened is that the ferry passengers on the ferry are seeing the dolphins, and then the dolphins are there because of the herring, and the herring are there because of Dr. John Matson of the Squamish Streamkeepers noted in about 2004 that the herring eggs were all dying on the pilings in Squamish. So the Squamish Streamkeepers got together and they wrapped landscape cloth on the creosoted pilings and the concrete pilings. And in around 2004, they had a good success. They only wrapped a few pilings, and they had many thousands that succeeded in hatching. Over the years, they added more wrapping and experimented on different material. And then they had hundreds of thousands. A few years ago, they had millions. And you talk to John Matson today, and they've got billions of successful spawn hatch because of the Streamkeepers' efforts. Now, we've had John Matson here on Bowen Island a couple of times to look at various spots where he could do the same thing here. And also, he gave his presentation to us, and we had quite a few turnout for that. That was last year. We'll do the same thing here if the herring show up. And we'll have a partnership with the municipality. It won't cost the taxpayer anything. We'll do all that's required, and but we won't do anything unless the herring show up. So it's all good news. So we're changing the game, and because of the herring, the club is now decided, as long as we have members that are available to do it, we're going to move into the ocean. So we've got salmon enhancement, we're rebuilding the Bowen streams, and in and around Bowen Island, we want to do something with the ocean. And we're quite excited about it, and we'll see where it goes.